everybody. It looks like we are live. So this is part 3. This is a continuation of me making a crossbody bag, which this is kind of the example I'm working from. This is my current progress, so we've made quite a bit of progress. This one is a little different. It's a little bigger, has some different designs. I modified the strap a little bit, but it's coming along well. So today, though, what we're going to do, actually, let me throw my phone on the tripod here. All right, hope everybody's doing well out there. All right. See, I've got one person. Thank you very much. All right, so today we're going to work on the straps, and we also might do a little bit of hand sewing or hand stitching. So all of this that you see here is all hand stitched. Bill, it's good to see you, buddy. How's everything going, man? It's good to see you jump in. Appreciate it. So today, though, we're going to make the straps for the new bag. So these are the 2 straps here. And using this one as an example, on this crossbody bag, what I really liked about it was the straps that allow it to move like 3 points of articulation. You guys can see 2 on the body right here, and what that does is I found is it just really allows it to sit on the body really well. Bill, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Just those 3 points of articulation, and you can carry the bag in a couple different ways. It just makes it really comfortable. So I wanted to mimic that. The only thing I did want to modify though was I made the straps on the new one a little bit thinner. Sometimes it digs in the neck. There's a couple different ways to work around it. It's actually not a big deal, but I'm gonna try to make them a little thinner. Just see how that works out. So, anyways, let's get to the straps now. What I do to allow them to articulate like that is I will actually use brass rivets, okay? Or I'm sorry, copper rivets. So this is a copper rivet. It might be a little hard to see, but that neck there is tapered, okay? And then they come with this little washer, and if you guys see by hand, that's as far as that washer goes. But there's a special tool, so when I get these into place, I'll actually hammer it down. But the reason I like these copper rivets is it allows me to adjust tension to some extent. So on these straps, because I want them to articulate, I won't smash it all the way down. So if someone could just let me know, is this a pretty good view of the workspace? And I'm going to turn on my little fan here. I don't know, it might show up with a little bit of noise, but it is still pretty warm out here, so I just want to get a little bit of air, and I'm just going to get on to work here. Workspace looks great. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate that feedback. Bill, I think you're the only one with me here, at least live. I got a chance to do a little bit more snooping around on that van, and it looks like it is in better shape than I thought, so that's good. I might do that just a little too much, but it'll work in. So I appreciate that again, brother. Okay, so what I did here is we've got the copper rivet through, and then I just use that tool, and because that head is tapered, remember what I was talking about? That little washer goes down. Now I got to peen the top to finalize it, but you guys can see we got some articulation. Just a hair tighter. I probably hit it one strike more than I would have liked, but it's going to be just fine. So when I say to peen the head down, what we're going to do is we're going to trim it. Okay, and then on this tool, see that little round little concave area. We'll actually put this right on here, and we will just beat the heck out of it, and that will flatten out that tip. If you guys think about the old pictures of when they used to build skyscrapers, and they would take those hot rivets and they would slide it into the holes, and then somebody had like kind of like a jackhammer, and well, we're doing this at a small scale here. So hopefully it shows up on there, but if you guys look, you guys can see where that top of that just kind of flattened out over it, and that will keep that little washer in place there. Right. So this is the new one that you guys have been seeing me work on here. So this outside edge, this is just sanded smooth. I'll put put a little dye on here and burnish it later. But man, I'm really happy how, if you guys look how the side light of there, that little design I put in there, I just really like how that looks. That was done with a swivel knife, which actually I have one now with me here. It's just this little device here, and I would moisten the leather, and you hold this like this, and kind of rest your index finger in there, and then you can kind of draw these lines. And I was just basically kind of mimicking contour lines, you know, like on a map. I mean, this is just random as far as the specifics here, but that was kind of the look I was going for. Really happy. Now, sometimes people will use a product they call an antiquing something, but it's like a dyed paste, and they'll actually rub it in there, and it'll kind of darken out these lines. I opted not to do this on this one, but I like it because it's very subtle. I mean, in some circumstances you don't even notice it, but when you do, it's kind of nice. I kind of like that subtleness. Right. Okay, so I got to think about, make sure I get everything lined up just right. So this is going to go like this. Okay, so we gotta think backwards here. Got that. Okay, because the strap is going to wrap around from the back side like this, so I want though I dyed both sides, I want the the little bit of a nicer side to be around the back here, or actually this side will actually be up underneath the arm. Okay, so that looks like that's lined up right. Okay, so what we're going to do is, now this is going to be somewhat arbitrary, but we'll mirror it on the other side. I want this to be just about right there. So now we're not following any patterns here. This is our own design, so we kind of make up the rules, right? So some of this is just arbitrary. Remember I talked about in some of the previous videos, it's all about the eye, right? The eye, this concept that the eye never lies in terms of what looks right. Now, obviously, that's a broad statement and doesn't apply to every circumstance, but I think you guys kind of get the general principle of what I'm talking about. So we're just going to eyeball that one. And of course, like usual, I set down my darn punch and I can't find it, so give me just a moment here. So I got my hammer. Finder here. What did I do with it? That's okay. I got another one. Let me go grab another one. All right. going to mimic this as though it was falling over here. And now we need to figure out a way to make sure that this levels up to about where I want to go here. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So I counted some of these holes, and I think we got it here. Pretty stiff leather. You got to put some force on there. Oh, so I probably should explain the reason that I'm putting these straps in now is when we sew the back on, though it would not be impossible, it would be more challenging to rivet this stuff on with this back piece sewed into the full unit. Again, not impossible, but it just would not. It would not be ideal. So actually, we're looking pretty good. Okay. So it's just kind of part of that is just thinking ahead, and just try to think ahead a couple steps of what you're going to do. That way you can try to predict if you have something that is you have to take in consideration in like that. Again, like I said, it wouldn't. I considered not doing this and sewing it first, and because it has a zipper and you can access the inside, it wouldn't be impossible. But all right, perfect. Just hammer that bad boy down and get something else here. All right, so to cut off the ends of that rivet that stick up, this is a better cutter to use here. So it's not going to cut it all the way down. It's going to leave a little bit on top, and then that's where that you can peen it. All right. Let's peen that one down just a little bit more. So make sure, okay, so we are not making any damage. Okay, got that one. All right. Now, the strap will wrap around like this. Got our final rivet here. I love that DeWalt on review. Let's see, I have that DeWalt on my shopping cart on Amazon. What's your review on it? Are you referring to the fan? If you're referring to the fan, I got a bunch of DeWalt stuff, but I really love this fan. I genuinely do. I mean, I bought it on my own. It's not any kind of product thing. But yeah, I've had that fan for probably 5 years, give or take. It's been a wonderful fan. Yeah, I would recommend it, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I honestly would. I think it's a really good. It's been a really good fan. It's I bought. I kind of went through a phase where I was buying DeWalt Milwaukee stuff, and I bought the Milwaukee fan. You know, kind of in general, Milwaukee is, maybe not by everybody, but the general trend is seen as superior than DeWalt. But I found that the Milwaukee fan really felt a lot lower quality. This felt better. And you're not asking, but in general, I've kind of started to prefer DeWalt over Milwaukee the more and more I use it. So, anyways, yes, the fan's solid. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Does not take much. So, you know, I'm still refining my skill set here with the leather work, so I'm just kind of presenting information as I find it. But you guys will notice that I've got two hammering tools here. I've got a small finish hammer. This is nothing special. I literally buy these at Harbor Freight. And this is what they call a maul, or kind of a mallet. Now this one is actually kind of pricey. But you just use different things for different situations, and it's kind of hard to explain. I think it's one of those things that you kind of develop a preference, and you just kind of intuitively know when you do enough of it. And every once in a while, I still kind of swap back and forth and make sure that I'm feeling the same way about something. But for something like the peening and stuff like that, I'm going to use the small finish hammer. Other things, I like them all, especially like repetitive tasks. All right. All right, that was a little tight, but it'll work in. So obviously we don't have the bag attached, but we can kind of get our first look here. And now, of course, the front is not sewed on. But so when this sews on, kind of be like that right there. All right, Yamato. If you get a marble slab and poundou board, that helps a lot for punching stuff out. So, thank you, I appreciate it. A poundou board. I'm not sure what that is. I do have I don't think it's marble, but it's a heavy slab. If I'm doing a lot of stamp work, I'll break that out. But you are absolutely right. I will say sometimes just when I'm knocking out a few little things here and there, I'll just kind of do it on this, and one of the structural beams of my workbench is kind of right here on the end, so I'll try to hit it over that. It's a little bit more rigid. But yes, you are absolutely right. I've found, especially if you're doing like a lot of stamp work and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that's a good point. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is because that slab way, it's dense and hard, but it's also heavy, so it's going to have a little bit more inertia when you're hitting on it, so it's not going to want to flex as much too. Flex is probably the wrong word, but it's going to stay a little bit more stable. So, but yeah, good point. Poundou board is like, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. A poundou board is like a thick rubber piece from Amazon or Weaver leather supply. I'll have to look into that, brother. I appreciate you giving me a heads up on that. I'd never heard of that before. Yeah, that's actually, I'll have to look into that and see. So you would put that underneath the marble slab then? Is that, I see. Just want to make sure I read that right. You get a marble slab and a poundou board. That helps a lot. Oh, learned something new. I appreciate that, my friend. But anyways, but yeah, this is I think this is going to be fine. Now, obviously, these bags I'm building right here, these are just for myself. These are just for fun. There is no adjustment in it, and other than cutting it shorter and re-putting in a rivet, but there's not a buckle. Um, that might be something I incorporate later. I mean, I'm making these for myself, so I kind of just adjust to the size of my body. Though I think this size right here would probably fit a fair amount of people. But here's a good example of that articulation. So these are pretty stiff, but you guys can see just that natural fit there. We've got this one where my pinky's at is almost 90 degrees out. But this naturally, which would be the shoulder side over here on the right, I think that might be your left, right here on this side. But that was just kind of what it did naturally. So that's kind of, let's see what the back looks like here. And the back stayed largely straight. All right, so let's see. I used the poundou board, marble slab, and poly cutting board. All three together on a work table makes it less noisy. I work inside my house. Other people, that's a really good. Um, that's a really good tip there. I appreciate that, brother. So this particular bag, I guess you would call it tooling. This was kind of just a technique. I just kind of was playing around with myself. But I'm sure it sounds like you're well aware of the swivel knife. So I just took a swivel knife and I meant to kind of like mimic contour lines. I thought it would be kind of an interesting effect. So I did it light. I dampened the leather and I just threw it on there relatively light. It's a subtle effect, but when the light hits it, or in bright light, you really see it a lot. So I guess it's kind of not traditional tooling, but I really like that. I thought that turned out as a really interesting little detail on there. Yeah, like it looks cool, like the Grand Canyon or river lines. That's kind of what I thought. I actually pulled up a couple contour maps. Now I didn't necessarily mimic an exact map here, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's kind of, that's kind of the look I was going. I thought it'd be kind of a fun pattern. And this is, I'm sure you just experiment yourself like I do. I just kind of play around and do different things. But yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so that went smooth, and it looks like it went well. So our next step is I am going to start sewing on this front piece onto this back piece. Now, as you guys notice, this can get challenging. You can see right here, what I did is I was sewing this front piece on the backs, on the inside there. I actually just took a water bottle and I would spray it every once in a while, and I would kind of roll this over. And in my particular case, I wanted to keep the gusset relatively flat, and I would roll into the interior, the centerpiece. You could theoretically do it the other way, or kind of have a 50-50 mix. So, but we'll do the same thing on this back side. Now, this front one sewed up pretty easy, but at least from my experience on the other one. Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Emoto. That was a very kind gesture. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the tips regarding that poundou board. That's I'm gonna look into that. Thank you. But yeah, so this might get a little bit, especially when you kind of come around these corners, you go to wrap it up. It might get a little bit hard to sew it. You're going to be stretching some leather. So what I'll do is I'll actually open up the zipper. I'll spray a little water in there and twist it that way. I just like to do that. It kind of keeps it even. Sometimes I found, you aren't going to rip the leather or anything most likely, but if you don't work it, sometimes you can get a little cattywampus and be a little bit off. But if you kind of work it and keep it smooth as you sew around, so. But we're going to get sewing now. The hard part is getting this thing lined up right to the exact spot that I want it. So I'm gonna have to sit here and think about this for a little bit and see how we're gonna do it. Let me get my my sewing stuff from in the house. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back here. I'm going to set up all my sewing needles so right when I get it placed where I want it, I can get right to it. And those who saw the other two parts, actually, give me just a moment. Let me cut this and we'll show you one thing before I get started. Oh, there's my preferred scissors. So we were talking about the gusset before, and what I did is I left it long. Okay, Yamato, thank you, brother. So when I sewed it around, I could figure out how long it was, and I trimmed it, and then I punched holes on both sides, and we'll sew it all together. Okay. So sorry about that downtime. Let me explain what I did. So if you guys, I'll just tell you, but I did show it in the previous lives for this build, is when I punched the holes for both this front and the back piece, um, I lined the both pieces up by putting a little mark with my awl, and when I go to sew them together, it's critical that I want to make sure that the orientation between these two pieces, side to side, and everything is just right. So I had to go and look. Now, one mistake I made is I should have made my mark a little bit more visible, but I think I got her. So we have our sewing thread. This is obviously just hand sewn. So I threw 2 stitches in there just to hold her in place. Always double check and evaluate. Make sure you feel good with your sewing position, because this is, if you want to go back, this is the time to do it. But I feel good about this one, so we're going to rock and roll. I got to grab one thing in the house, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to grab my water bottle, and so what we're going to do is, as I sew, I'm just going to squirt the inside lightly with water, and I will just manipulate the leather. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm holding this up and I'm kind of bending it in slightly. It's okay to do this. You can do this on veg tan leather, and it's okay to wet it, especially just kind of temporary things like this. That's kind of a way that helps you form and move the leather. Now, it's not going to be like a piece of steel where you move it once and it's going to stay in that position. You know what I mean, like a paper clip or something. It's going to be kind of those things you just kind of have to massage and manipulate as you work it. If that makes sense. So can you guys, let me move this out a little bit, see if we can get a better view here. So this is called saddle stitching. Now, I know it probably looks like this would be the worst thing to ever do, sit here and sew, because it is time consuming. But I'll tell you a little secret. A person who was given some good advice on their Yamamoto, was talking about how he likes to punch his holes and stuff, inside the house, and sewing is kind of one of these things that, sometimes, I'll kind of save the project to where I'm going to sew at the end of the night. And there's nothing I enjoy more than, sitting on my couch, watching a little TV or something. And, it's kind of meditative, just kind of get in here and sew. Don't focus on how much you have to do. Just kind of get in there and just kind of enjoy it for its moment, right? I don't know. I find it enjoyable. And, get in a comfortable position, that kind of thing. Now with this, because we're bending it over, well, it's always critical, but it's particularly critical here, is want to make sure you're keeping good tension all the way through. So now we're going to be starting to hit a bend here. It's not going to be, I don't want to oversell it, make it sound like it's going to be super hard, but it's, we're going to start stretching this leather a little bit, so we're going to start feeling a little bit of resistance here. And it's going to be particularly critical that you make sure all your threading's tight here. All right, show you guys a little progress there. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. All right, let's look at our progress so far. So this is from the outside. This is from the inside. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put together another one, and I'm going to start from the top again, but I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm just going to kind of work my way around. I don't know if it's true or not, but my logic is that's going to kind of help keep this even. That way nothing gets kind of twisted in there, and that way it sits straight. So that's the way I've been doing it. It's been working out, so I'm just going to kind of stick to that for now. And like you guys saw, making sure that we're double checking tightness on all these as we roll, and then moistening the back of this face here and twisting it as we go. Take your time. Just try to keep everything as even and symmetrical as you can. Anybody out there listening? Where are you guys from? what we have done is we've sewn from this all the way around to here, and it is feeling good. It's feeling good, liking the shape. So now what we'll do is I'm going to try to get, we just got to kind of wrap around the other side. I'm going to start on the opposite side this time, so I'm going to start over here and pull her around. But this is, now, you know what, guys? I think we're going to probably call it, but this is, sorry, I'm holding this one hand here. That's what it looks like. I think it looks pretty good. Now, of course, like I said, this outside edge, that lighter brown edge, we'll put a treatment on that. So, all right, guys, I appreciate everyone watching. Thanks a bunch.